You need to be able to see that, yeah, that. Let's move it a little bit. There we go. You can see what we're doing, hopefully. Okay guys, welcome back to Roberts & Co. Welcome back to London, another live jewellery making session. Today needs to be quick because I'm uploading a podcast as we speak. And if I try and do one upload, my internet struggles. Two uploads, the quality of this will be lower than the low quality it normally is. Quick update on the gold and silver ingots I've been working on the last few live streams. And my new technique, I've invented a new technique that I'm calling dry quenching for ingots. Catchy name, huh? Where I'm basically, it's not a new thing, quenching ingots, and neither is using a steel block as a heat sink for precious metals. But when you combine the two, you get dry quenching. It appears to be doing, I don't know whether it's doing anything actually, because I was having problems, if you quench sterling silver ingots, it's problematic, or it was for us. When you then go to roll them out through the rolling mills, they're like wringing out a sponge. You get water coming out, it results in, when you hit it, the silver obviously takes on board whatever you quench it in, which isn't a problem if you don't do any process. Like if you do it after soldering, which I did for years, no problem. But then when you come to squeeze it, either rolling or drawing, to some extent, even soldering can affect it, obviously in hindsight, because but with ingots, it results in blistering. The liquid obviously ends up in subsurface porosity. It expands, you get blistering, which turns into cracks. Yeah, quenching silver ingots doesn't work. Everyone on social media making silver ingots does it. They must be having problems that they're hiding. There must be. But yeah, it's the way everyone's taught to do it. You know, like it doesn't work. Works for gold. No problems. 9 carat, 18 carat. Silver is just a nightmare. But like I say, it's the way I was taught. Did it for a long time. The internet's just basically just a big argument about. Some people say you should, some people say you shouldn't. Mixed. The dry quenching method, well, the proof is in the pudding. These ingots, there's no real problems with them. There's no problems with them so far. The gold feels slightly harder than the silver. See, I think whether this works or not is, if I was just to air cool the silver, so do nothing, it would probably work. If I was to air cool the gold, I think the gold really does require quenching of some sort. So if I was just to air cool it, it would probably work, but it will be softer it would be softer quenched than air cooled, I think. Again, the opinion seems to, this is a science that should be, that is a thing that I should be able to look up. It should be settled by now. You know, there should be a process for 9 carat annealing, 18 carat annealing, sterling silver, you know, Britannia silver, fine silver. It should be done. It's not. It's an argument. It's a discussion, not a done deal. It's a science, and this stuff jewelers should have figured this out by now. And I think some have, but like online, it's just like I say, it's not a done deal. It's an argument, a discussion, and most people seem to. Most people's points seem to lack proof. Or context, like they're on discussion boards, not videos. With the gold, when I'm rolling this out for a roller mills, the gold doing this dry quenching, which is heating up, which we're going to do on there. The gold feels slightly harder than the silver does, so I think the dry quenching might, whether it's like I say, the silver would be annealed, air cooled, and wouldn't develop problems anyway. Whether this is actually helping the annealing, like the softening of the gold, I haven't figured out yet. Whether it's helped, I haven't got a control piece. You know, what I really need to do next is air cool one of the silver ingots. Maybe I'll do that with this batch. I know I'm gonna get this lot done because I need. Maybe when I'm the next batch of ingots, I will do. I know what happens if you quench them. You end up with You end up with blisters, which result in cracking, and water comes out of the porosity in it if you quench silver ingots. Or worse, pickle. But what I should probably do is experiment with air cooling versus dry quenching to see if it feels physically softer coming through the rolling mills. But anyway, let's anneal. I'm going to heat these up, get them up to red, stick them on our steel block. I'm going to need a bigger steel block if this does work. But like I say, these ingots haven't developed any issues yet, but it's early days. But there's no cracking. Some porosity appears to be surfacing. But what's happening with that porosity, so that will appear as a small, it's almost like it surfaces like a small crack, which then, it doesn't spread, the single crack doesn't spread. It's almost like as you then stretch it out, you can take a file to them and they disappear. Like the rolling like if you've got a problem with the ingot, the rolling process creates cracks and then expands those cracks. What I think is happening with these is there's sort of porosity or almost like inclusions, and as they surface they dissipate and then disappear, which is what you want. So that's not a problem because that's just basically porosity in the cast surfacing and dissipating as you stretch the metal out, as opposed to if I'd have quenched these silver ones, every time you roll them out more cracks develop and the existing ones start spreading. Yeah, so none of that. The only thing with these is they're not really cracks is the wrong way actually. The way the porosity surfacing looks like, I would say, is more like a scratch. It's a scratch on the surface, and then it's almost like, and when you roll it out, it's like roll out the ingot. It's like you're polishing out the scratch. Whereas if the ingots are brittle and whatever, then they are the difference between the problem is cracks, and cracks resulting from the rolling process, which we don't have in these. What we have got is, like I say, what appears to look, the gold one's looking kind of orange peel. The effect that I've got on this gold one I've never seen before. So it's definitely doing something. Whether it's a positive something is I'm not sure yet. There's a really thick layer of oxide on this gold one as well, which I've just removed. I also have this weird oxide on the silver, which I've never seen before, which is not unusual for when we're messing around with these new techniques. I had like a white and green oxide on the silver, not a lot of it, just in a couple of spots. Don't know what that was. Almost looked like unfired borax, like unfired flux with a green topping, which it well could be, you know, some because we use borax in the melt, and there's copper in there, so that could be the green, could be some borax surfacing. I mean, there's only going to be trace elements of borax in there. It's not going to be like it's going to be less than, it's going to be a fraction of a percent. You know, it's not going to be a percentage of made up of borax, but there will be, because it's the flux we use in the melt. There must be a trace element of whatever that becomes when it's fired, because it doesn't just disappear. So the idea of this is just rapid cooling using the steel block to cool the gold down real quick. But it doesn't. With the gold, it might not be cooling it quick enough. That's the problem. With the silver, it's definitely helped. I think with silver, if you slowly cool, my understanding of it, I don't know whether I think if you heat silver up and then really slowly cool it, it either hardens it or tempers it, one of the two. I don't really know what the difference is in silver, or, you know, I'm not a heat treatment expert, but I think if they want to harden silver in a furnace, that is one way to do it. This gold seems to be taking a lot of heat. Right, hopefully that's soft. Let's get that on the steel, and that will instantly take the red, will just drain out of it. Let's do one of the silver ones, and then I'm going to cut the string because I was uploading a video at the moment, so two at once is trouble. I'm going to need a bigger steel block if it works. I've got a bigger steel block actually. I've got a knackered old surface plate. Somewhere. Rusting somewhere. Right, cool that off. Yeah, the thing with doing it this way as well, the gold builds up quite a lot of oxide. The gold, doing it this way on the surface plate, the gold is definitely developing a lot more oxide in the cooling process than it would quenched, or than the silver is. I don't think the gold's liking this. The silver is, however. The silver's... Yeah, the silver's cool. It's not the zero oxide on it, as if, you know, you've pickled it. Like, pickling it bleaches it. But there's definitely... doing it this way, the gold builds up like quite a... And I think that's why that might be why the surface of that gold looks quite orange peely, because I think that when I'm then rolling it, I'm not cleaning off the oxide before I'm rolling it. And I think that whatever that gold oxide is on there, that black, is then basically imprinting the gold when I'm rolling it. But still a work in progress. Right, I'm going to anneal those next to, and I'll keep you updated on dry quenching. Toodles.